now, it's time for the College of Ice with Brian Brosdahl and Steve Panaz.
Hey guys, welcome to College of Ice. I hope you missed us on Wednesday night, but we are going to 2 nights a week starting now and running through the end of December because ice season is almost here, and I'm very excited about that. And we got a very cool show tonight. We got Kevin Van Dam coming in. You know him as a bass angler extraordinaire, so I'm excited to have Kevin on board. We also have Chris Russell, who's the marketing director for Plano Synergy, which owns Frabill. And we're going to kind of talk about the effects of COVID is having on some of the tackle companies. And so I'm excited. We got a great show on Wednesday coming up. It should be a lot of fun. I'd also like to congratulate Jamie Siegel last week for winning the Frabill prize pack for a $165 prize pack, including the really cool College of Ice mug, which is really fun. Hey, I'd like to bring in Brian Brosdahl. Hey, bro.
How you doing?
Welcome to College Ice, man.
Yeah. Hey, Jesse Quayle. Good to see you. Nice deer. Glad to be here. We're so close. It's starting to happen in different areas, like in Alberta, Canada, and different areas. So, we're right there.
No, I know you're out today checking ice around your local waters. And hi, Jason. But talk about what did you find in northern Minnesota today in terms of ice?
A lot of small lakes are froze over. The bigger lakes, anything over 1,000 acres, some of them are half open from the wind. We've had just horrendous wind, 10 to 20, 30 mile an hour. But at one spot I found 4.5, 5 inches by shore. And as soon as you got where it drops more than 3 feet, 2.5 inches. And the average was about 2 inches by shore. So it's not ready. And there's still heat vents, from the water coming up. So be careful.
Hey, anybody that's watching us tonight, please give us some ice reports from wherever you are to say, hey, Jeff, how are you? And Jesse, but really share with us what's happening locally and be careful out there. I know Aaron Weed went through the ice last week in Manitoba, and it was a bad deal. So it can happen to anybody. So let's just be super careful.
Jared.
Bro, I just got back from Montana. I was out there chasing some mule deer out there for a few days. Temperatures in Miles City area were 40 during the day and 23 at night. So we started seeing ice build up and things. But even out there, there's not a lot of ice. And then driving across North Dakota, Bismarck and all that. Yeah, bring your snipe. But even the small lakes in North Dakota, they're not froze. They're not froze over yet. And I know they're not safe. So we got to be careful, and I see you got your spikes, and I think that's a great idea.
Absolutely. Never take a chance. Like we said last time, if you bring all the gear, nothing will happen.
Yeah. Hey, remind everybody that's tuned in tonight, how can they win this prize pack? Tell us a little bit about the Frabill prize pack and how do they win?
All you got to do is tune in, share the episode, drop us a question and comment during the show, and you're in to win.
What's really cool tonight is Kevin Van Dam will be answering specific questions tonight. So if you have some questions for Kevin, send them in, and I'd love to. We're gonna have a session with Kevin in here starting in about 10 minutes. So send those questions in, and the best questions that we get, we'll run as many as we can. Getting with Kevin, so that'd be kind of cool. And bro, later in the show, I think we should open up the questions for you as well. And let's have some fun with that as well. So the more questions you answer, the better your chance to win that prize pack, which is really cool. Hey, I had a question for you. I know you're a huge fan of live bait. I've been out there. Vikings game. I heard they just lost to a 2-17 Dallas.
Daryl, can you remind us?
That's horrible. I can hear. You feel all the Packer fans going, "Woo! The Vikings lost again." Well, anyway, hey, there we go. We got some stuff 3.5 to 6 inches up in Devil's Lake. That's awesome. Hey, bro, take me through the types of live bait that you'd like to use in the winter. Start with maggots, larvae, and that sort of thing.
Well, maggots, which is the blue bottle fly, are really tough. And the thing about them is they're smaller too. So you can either use one if you want to go micro on a hook, or you can put a bunch on. And they work even on a spoon if you're going to fish for bigger perch or walleyes. But waxies, on the other hand, that's a bee moth, and we got a picture we could show here of the waxies. Waxies are messy. I mean, when you hook them, they're real soft, and when you shake them in the water, they make a mess, and it draws in fish from a distance. And you put on 2 or 3 waxies, T-bone them, and sometimes you just hook them a couple times, break the tip, and kind of squeeze the guts out. Sounds terrible, but it's fishing. Come on, that's just how it is. And you know, they work really well, and they draw fish in from a distance. Butterworms, I don't know if they taste like butter, but let me tell you, they're the Chilean moth. We don't have too many of those around here, but they got really cool colors, and they work really well, and they're super durable, a little bit more durables. Mousies.
I haven't heard the term mousy in years, and they used to be very popular probably 20, 25 years ago. That's pretty incredible.
No, it is. And that little tail kind of reminds me like a bloodworm or something like that. And they're a drone fly. And, you know, bait shops carry stuff as long as they sell it. If it doesn't sell, they're not going to carry it. So when you go in there, make sure you buy a lot of stuff. Mealworms. People know mealworms because you can get them at a pet shop to feed lizards and animals and stuff. But mealworms, I don't use those as often, but they work just fine. And red wigglers are probably pretty high on my list right now. The red worms, you'll see these when you fish near the backwaters of the Mississippi, La Crosse, Wisconsin, that stuff. Did I just give away someone's secret? I hope not. But anyway, you know, you put a night crawler on a hook. A night crawler is bigger. A chunk of night crawler is bigger than the ice lures that we're using, a mud bug or gill getter. So the red wigglers is like a night crawler, but finessey and dainty.
Hey, Kai, go back to the shot of the larva, the maggot. Bro, I want to talk to you a little bit about these. Where do you like to hook these, and how do you typically hook them?
Well, I like to go into the square end, and without making them explode, because their skin is tough. You just strike through the tip and bring the hook through. And sometimes if it's really tough, I'll take that hook and I'll just kind of go through, and you just want to go through the end. But sometimes I'll thread them if you're using micro stuff. If I'm using a size 12 or 14 gill getter, I could thread it on and then add a second one. But the body of the bait covers the hook. And remember the thing with hooks, you don't want to leave your point uncovered. In color, I always order them in red. And want to give a little shout out to Vados Express out there, because I have been ordering from them for many, many years, and it's just a great color. Hello,
well, to answer Jim's question, though, they get the different colors of the larva by whatever they feed the bait, and that's how they get the different colors.
Yeah, and they're feeding them food coloring, you know, when they're eating the rotten meat, and you know, everybody tries different things, and I know red's really popular because bloodworms are red, but they're not always red. You know, sometimes bloodworms are translucent white, sometimes, and bloodworms are a big part of a diet of all of our fish in all of our lakes. And so multiple colors, it's up to you.
I like white. I use it a lot, but you know, I'm also a big fan of soft plastics and soft baits like Gulp. When do you use soft plastics, and when do you go to live bait?
Well, there's in the lakes that I fish, and it's like this everywhere in the Midwest, bloodworms are important. So I designed bloodworms for Northland Tackle many years ago, over 15 years ago. The original bloodworm is still on the shelves today, and I've caught a lot of fish on it. And it's a silhouette. It looks like what the fish are eating. Now, skeleton minnow kind of is the advanced version of the bloodworm, and it works really, really good. We call it skeleton minnow because bloodworm was already taken. And then do I do a great question, Michelle? Actually, what I do is I'll put a body of a waxworm on a mud bug or a gill getter, and then I'll add plastic at the tip, so the fish have to inhale it to get to the meat. Great question.
That is a great question. So when do you fish soft plastics any differently than live bait?
Well, I stay above the fish, and in dark water, you silhouette and use darker colors. But I always have plastics on. And in a lot of lakes up here, it's 50-50. There's a lot of lakes you won't catch anything with bait. You'll only catch them on a skeleton minnow or a bloodworm. And I could have a bunch of people out there, and I've had tournament anglers from all over the place, and they come in and they want to beat me with their techniques. And I'm just sitting there and I'm just barely moving that bloodworm, and I'm catching slab crappies and really big perch. And it depends on where you're at, and it's different everywhere.
Wow. Bro, we're getting a lot of really awesome comments. Hey, I know Frabill actually has a Black Friday special. I can't believe Thanksgiving's coming up this week, but there's going to be a lot of specials. But there's a really cool deal on the i3 suit. I know you're a fan of it right there. But
yeah, this is the best. This suit right here for running around on the ice, drilling holes, and it's warm, but you're not going to sweat real bad in it. It's just a great run around, and it's one of my favorite suits. But if you buy the top, you get the bibs 50% off. That's after the show starting tomorrow, which is midnight tonight. So remember, if you're looking for a suit, check it out and think of somebody for Christmas right now. So
this is at Frabill.com, and again, as Bro mentions, it starts tomorrow. Actually tonight at midnight if you're up and go there. There's also specials on other ice fishing gear. But hey, later on Wednesday, we've got a really cool show. We're going to talk about new products or great gift ideas for the ice angler and people's families. So I'm looking forward to that show as well.
Oh, absolutely. Looking forward to it. And thanks, Walleyes Unlimited there.
Yeah, absolutely. No, this is not a float suit, but it is a well-engineered and comfortable suit.
Well, and it has self-rescue because it comes with a pair of retractable picks, the Frabills, and you could take them and put them on the bottom. So great. Thanks. Thanks, Robert.
Hey, by the way, I can't recommend highly enough having picks with you at all times. Bro, you've been through the ice. I've been through the ice. Without picks, it's very hard to get out. Absolutely very hard to get out.
Well, we have fingernails like humans, not like animals. If we had claws, you could scratch your way out. You go through, you got to have something that you could really stab in the ice. And I never go without these, and I never take any risks. If I think that when I'm going out, I'm drilling ahead, I'm chiseling ahead, and it's you have people with you. So it's, and bring rope and everything. Greg.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Hey, we got a very special guest in the lobby right now. You guys know Kevin Van Dam. KVD has been one of the top tournament anglers for years. He's won 4 Bassmaster Classics. He's qualified for the Classic for 28 times. I mean, we've seen this picture a lot. It's just an exciting angler. He's 25 wins on the Bassmaster circuit, and now he's fishing Major League. But Kevin, welcome to College of Ice. Thanks for joining us.
You bet, guys. It's pretty exciting. I watched the show last week, and I was fascinated, man. I'm learning a lot. I love to ice fish. And, a lot of the times I only get to fish the first ice because the tour season starts. So hopefully we get some early ice this year.
So what is your favorite species of fish on ice?
You know what? I spend most of my time bluegill fishing. And, I'm in Southwest Michigan. There's nothing like a winter Michigan bluegill. We love to eat them too, but they're tricky, and so like I said, I'm fascinated. Last week I was listening. I've never thought of, when fluorocarbon came out, I thought it was the only way to go. And, we get some fussy lakes that get a lot of pressure and, slowing your jig down. I mean, when they came out with tungsten jigs, I said, man, that's the only way to go. But, it made me think a little bit, when you guys got to talking about my weights and line size and, I am not the best ice fisherman, but I've got a couple buddies that are really serious about it, and we get real competitive when we get there on the ice, just like a bass tournament, so who's catching the most and who can figure it out. So I got a few tricks to throw at them this year.
What pound depth do you use for bluegills?
I like 2. I use 2-pound fluorocarbon, and I don't want to break off much. I've tried lighter, but I found it to be real good. And then the biggest thing that I've seen is tungsten jigs are, it's just great to be able to get down. We do a lot of lakes that are real clear since the zebra mussels got in here. So a lot of the fishing that, we got some lakes where you can catch them in 10, 12 foot of water, but honestly, it's 25 foot, that 20 to 30 foot zone where we spend a lot of time. And without tungsten, it's tough.
That's
Yep.
amazing. So, Kevin, you've really excelled at building patterns. I mean, especially on the Bass Circuit, you seem to be able to go to a ramp or a lake and figure things out. What is your process for building a pattern in open water? Now we'll bring it into ice, but take us do you have any secrets on really building patterns?
Well, I mean, the big thing when you're bass fishing all over the country is you got to follow the seasonal patterns, and ice fishing is the same. I mean, the fish migrate, throughout different times of year. I mean, first ice is very different than it is in January compared to the end of the season, and where the fish have. And I mean, you guys know that, but a lot of just casual ice fishermen, they really don't understand that. The biggest thing for me that has changed the way that I fish is electronics. I mean, I've got a Humminbird Ice Helix 7, and with Lake Master mapping, it's a game. If my battery was dead or something, I'll just go home. I will not fish without it. There's two things I won't go fishing without: these right here, and my Ice Helix. I mean, those are two of the greatest innovations for ice fishing. I mean, there's been so much technology that's improved it. I kind of get to see a lot of it. My brother has a sporting goods store here in Kalamazoo at DNR. I know, Brian, you've been there before.
Oh yeah, yes.
They do a big ice show, and it's huge. I mean, just the advancements in our clothing, just like you were showing the new Frabill suits and stuff. Our gloves, our clothes, the augers, electronics has been a huge one, but also, fluorocarbon, the tungsten jigs, but you still go back to the basics, the wax worms and that. I mean, mousies are the only way to roll. If you can get mousies,
where are you finding them? Because I haven't seen them for 2 decades.
Well, we've got a couple of local bait distributors around here that I mean, it's challenging. They're hit or miss. And the smart guys, they get them early and they buy them all up because you can keep them in the fridge for a while. And, you can get spikes and you can get red spikes all the time anywhere. You can get waxworms all the time. And waxworms are still my go-to. But if you can get mousies, that and true, I mean, real wigglers, not red worms, but wigglers, those are hard to beat.
The mayfly larva.
Yeah. So it's funny, we're talking about ice fishing, but my dad is a huge bluegill fisherman. He's 82 years old. We've got a really good lake that he lives on that's got giant gills, and he's still, I mean, he was fishing yesterday. So we've had this crazy fall and had these nice days. So if he gets a nice calm day, he's still out there, but he's basically fishing in a boat with, and it's the same thing. We're running, Lake Master mapping, and we've got our lake mapped out, and you're just following the down imaging and just moving around real slow, looking for them. And that's the way that I ice fish too. You say one of the biggest things, I'm out there just like I'm covering water during the summer. That's what I do ice fishing. I'm going to drill a ton of holes. You better have a lot of batteries for your drill because I'm gonna burn through a bunch of them. And we do the same thing bluegill fishing is, you put a 4-inch auger out there so you can get a lot more of them. And if you're catching giant ones, there's not many that won't fit through a 4-inch hole even so, or 5-inch you might have to go to. But I'm going to burn a bunch of holes and just start checking it. I mean, I don't even drop until I see them. I don't even drop down and fish. And once you can find an area, you can zoom in. And the thing that's cool is from year to year, these fish are, they'll use the same areas around the same time frame. So, in December, it's different than it is in January, but on our lakes where we fish, you will find them in these same basins or on the same little weed corners. And that's where the mapping comes in is you can do that. So I'm really excited to try to, and I'm sure, Brian, you are the same, to rig the 360 mega up so I can drop that down and look around the holes.
I got it ready and it's all set and ready to go. And I got 2 lithium batteries. And it's a smaller package. And it's going to be nice not have to turn it or look around. And I was going to ask you, when do you get ice in Michigan?
So, the last couple of years, it's down in the southern part of the state where I'm at. It's usually not till around January, We'll get it in January. Last year, it warmed up. I mean, it was cold in December and we really didn't have good ice. I mean, you could fish some of the smaller lakes and that, but I'm not risking it.
No.
I like to have 4 inches of good ice before I'm going to go. And fortunately, I have some really good friends. I got a good network, and I think every ice fisherman's that way.
Oh, yeah.
Working buddies, and you can kind of figure out what's going on. And then my brother's store, at DNR, those guys, guys are coming in buying bait, so they're always getting good intel on where there's safe ice and where the fish are biting. If it's perch or crappie or I love to fish for bass through the ice, but it's mainly early season. I'll go jig bass for a few days. It's fun to do because I've learned so much that I've applied to my job as a professional fisherman about the myths of what fish do in cold water, and it blows people away. If I post a picture on social media standing on the ice with a bass, they're like, how would you even imagine to get one to bite? But they're still very aggressive. I'm amazed how aggressive they could be, especially at first ice,
especially on a tip up,
chase baits and things like that. So it's taught me that I can use a lot more aggressive techniques than I thought I could in really cold water and in tough situations that I face all over the country.
Kevin, we're going to run a few questions by you when you get a chance from some of the viewers tonight. But if we go back to pattern building again, is there one or two things you'd recommend for helping people go from not catching a fish to putting that first fish on the ice or in the boat, and then fine tuning that pattern to be able to really kind of put them, a solid fishing pattern together?
The thing that I can tell you is the best bass fishermen that I've ever been around, they're super, super observant. So when you get that first bite, look at your map, look around. I mean, how high was he off the bottom? How did, you want to look at every single detail that happened when you came in contact with that first fish, or even if you're marking them and not catching them, how they're acting. It's just crazy how from one day to the next, they'll be right on the bottom, or sometimes, before I had electronics, we always just fished down there, close to the bottom. But I mean, I've seen times where they're 10 feet off the bottom, when you're out there. And so a lot of it has to do with the weather. And I'm just a huge, I think every fisherman is a weather fanatic. So I pay real close attention to it. I've got all the different apps on my phone. So, just be aware when you come in contact with that first fish or you catch that first one, every possible thing that you can, put into your memory bank, because chances are, there's fish are there for a reason. There's no such thing as a fluke. And, you don't get lucky, to be consistent in catching them. So you just really got to be observant and pay attention to all the little details and everything around you. The hard thing through the ice is you can't always see the water clarity. You can't see some of the other conditions that you can when you're out in a boat. But I think a lot of the guys understand the lakes that they're in, or they're using cameras and things like that too, where you actually can. So that was you guys are asking me questions, but I had some questions. I was like, for Brian, like, how do you know what color jig you want to start with, based on the water clarity? Our lakes are clear, but
Yeah.
I feel crazy how, like, one day it's, chartreuse is hard to beat, and then, then it's orange, or you got to use just gold, or,
I agree.
that's the thing. I've got a box full, and, bass fishing, it's batch the hatch and be natural in real clear water. And bluegills and perch, it's really, that's not the case. I think a lot of times it's just getting something that they can see, or a glow, when do you use glow or not? So that's the things that I'm avid, but I'm not like you, where you're fishing,
Well, and I'm using stuff like this. I don't know if you can see it, but there's a light stick in this little
Yeah.
spoon. But now that treble hook's too big for a bluegill, so I'll just put a little line down there to a little jig and take the treble off. And it's amazing that the bluegills go to these light stick technology baits like this buckshot rattle spoon. They swim right up to it, and especially in darker water, just like perch, they don't have the best vision. Though I catch them after dark sometimes, but color to me, you can't beat anything that has a little bit of a glow red to it. But really clear lakes that have a lot of weeds, chartreuse and green, and then gold is always a big bluegill getter. I think any big fish, old fish, don't have the best eyes, just like humans. And so we have to get a spotlight out for them. But I was going to ask you, have you ever ice fished in Minnesota or anywhere else outside of Michigan?
I haven't. I've fished all over Michigan, from really the whole lower peninsula, and I fished for pike and walleyes, and, I've done a lot of tip up fishing and things like that too. But I mean, my main go-to is around my house where I live in Southwest Michigan. And it's primarily bluegill fishing. There's a lot. I mean, we're blessed with a ton of water, and a lot of these little pothole lakes, there's a lot of them you can't get on in the summer.
Yeah.
They're private, but during the winter you can access them, and that's where some of the best fishing is.
Yeah, from Cold Spring to Brooklyn, Michigan, there is a lot of water, and I've spent time, and I've seen you at the shows when I've been out there, and yeah, you do have quite a bunch of lakes there, especially towards Brooklyn too. There's quite a few. And
yeah, I know you fished that tournament over there. I've got all my buddies. They've done well. They haven't won that thing yet, but they always consistently do well. The challenge is always getting those big crappies,
Yeah.
We don't target crappie on a day-to-day basis. So that's a new frontier, and the plastics seem to be the key for the crappie.
Absolutely. And those wigglers, like in one tournament, the winners actually laid the wiggler with a micro gamakatsu hook right on a plant, and it picked it off the plant. And that's getting really intricate.
Yeah. Yeah. They're pretty serious about it. I mean, the hard thing for us is the mobility, because most of these lakes we don't, especially early ice, you can't run, a four-wheeler or anything out there. You've got to walk yourself out there. You've got to, have a sled, put your gear in. And of course, we're tech junkies, so we've got to, you got it all. Like you say, I mean, you're going to be pulling. I've got lithiums in my bass boat, and it's the same thing. You would never run the Mega 360 out there all day on the ice without the power of lithium batteries. And, even though they're only 27 pounds a piece, it's still, it all adds up when you start lugging everything out there, dragging it. It's a whole lot nicer if you could pull it out there, on a snowmobile or something like that. But we just really don't have that option very often here.
Hey, Kevin, we got some questions from viewers tonight. We got one up on the screen right now. Smallies or largemouth? What's your favorite through the ice?
I primarily, I fish for both, but smallmouth are real nomadic, even through the ice. Largemouth are real predictable. Early season, you're going to find those fish. Inside turns on the weed lines, they're going to be right on that weed edge. The mouth of a bay, a hole in a big flat, things like that. They love those areas, and they'll really congregate. That's why I like to bass fish through the ice early like that, is because you can go out there and just really find a huge congregation of fish in a small area. And smallmouth are, they're just not like that. They're still. I've caught smallmouth through the ice in 4 foot of water up on sand flats, the same places they were, in the fall. It's crazy. I mean, there's this myth that, the bass go deep when it's cold, or, they just, are real sluggish. And that's not the case. I mean, I catch largemouth jigging through the ice, first ice, a lot of times, 4 or 5 foot of water in the edge of the lily pads that were there, so it's very rare. But I mean, if you can find one of those lakes that is a pretty shallow lake, and it has one structural element or one hole in it, or, a major, point on a flat that has one turn on it, that's where they'll really get congregated, and you might be able to catch 100 in one little 20-yard stretch.
Oh yeah.
So Kendra Michelle asked, do you like inline reels?
You know what? I like a spinning reel. I'm using just a real small spinning reel. And it's, again, a big part of that is it's what I've kind of gotten used to in starting to fish some of these lakes, where one day I'm fishing, 10 feet, and then the next day we're fishing 30. A lot of the bluegill fishing we do is truly in that 25 foot range. It seems like the magic number, within a few feet of that. And I think that has to do with some of these deep grass flats on these lakes where the light penetration zone is at, and that's a real key thing. I think for bluegill fishing is based on the water clarity in the lake, that those bluegills like to hang where that, just beyond where that brighter light penetration zone is at. They're just deeper than that. It's just like bass in the summer. Yeah. If you can see the bottom in 20 foot, there's a good chance that probably 30 foot is going to be the zone that they're really going to be a lot of those summertime fishing. And it's kind of the same in the winter. They're going to be where the food's at for sure. But I think the water clarity and the light penetration is a big factor in how the fish set up through the ice. Absolutely. And the thicker the ice and the snow, it's going to change that.
So Kevin, typically how thick is the ice in January in the lakes that you're fishing?
It'll start, like, I don't like to go, if you get 3 inches of good hard, solid ice, I'll fish on that. My wife she's adamant about me being super safe. I just don't take risks with it. We always go in a group, and just like you were talking about, carry a rope. We got all our safety equipment and things like that at the early ice. And you never know, because there's springs in a lot of these lakes and stuff. So yeah, even if you got good ice, you can find a bad spot out there, or if you get a little warm up or things like that. But the thickest ice that we typically get down here, maybe 2 feet on a really, really one of those super.
Oh wow. Okay.
So, most of the time, we don't ever have to use an extension on an auger. I mean, that's something that is it's not a lot of fun.
Yeah. Oh. Hey, Joseph Allen has asked a question. He says, do weather patterns affect winter fishing as it does in summer fishing?
Absolutely, 1,000%. The fish, it's amazing how the time of the day matters, and the weather. Just like summertime, you get a frontal path, a front coming in and low pressure, and that, those fish get real active. They'll get high off the bottom. They'll get real aggressive. You can be real aggressive with the way that you jig your bait. And then, you get those high bright days. You go out there at noon on a high bright post frontal day with no wind and see how many bites you get, at 4 in the afternoon, an hour before dark, then, they'll move up towards the weed edge and you can wear them out. You get those same type of weather days that make for good bass fishing, largemouth fishing in the, summertime. Those are great days to ice fish where you can catch them all day.
True.
And then Dave Rupp asks, how long do you fish a spot before you move? And kind of go into detail on that. That's a tough question.
I'm on the move. If I'm not seeing them on my depth finder, and that's the thing that's kind of a fault for me. I've got some buddies they're really good ice fishermen. And once they find an area and they start catching them, they'll sit there and work a hole and try to draw the fish to their bait. I like to keep moving. So, if I've got enough holes drilled, I'm just going to keep going. If I'm not catching them, I'm on the move. It's like, it's just like during the summer, I'm going to have that trolling motor on high, and I'm walking, moving, dropping that puck in the hole and trying to find a fish that I want to know that one's looking at my bait.
If you don't see them, you don't fish it, do you?
I prefer not to. I'm not going to, I definitely don't drop down there. If I don't see one, if I drop down and the fish swims away, I may sit there and jig it for a minute and try to get them to come back. When they're biting, I'm really, really dangerous. When it starts getting a little bit tougher, that's where being impatient like me, doesn't necessarily always pay off. And I got a couple buddies that'll, they're just a little more patient and they'll make it work, especially if you get a hot hole or, they're just keying on a certain depth zone or a spot where they'll just, wait them out. I have a hard time waiting them out.
They put an anchor down, right?
I can't do that. I'm not spot locked.
No.
Hey, I got a kick out of this question. I'm supposed to challenge you to be on Lake Commandos.
Oh boy.
I'll go anytime, man.
I like that. I had a chance to go head to head with Bro this fall. It was a lot of fun. So it was kind of cool. Bro, I know you have some questions for Kevin as well.
Yeah, I know that you've been out in fishing. What is your target fish? Is it the same as bluegills, late ice as early ice? And outside of that, what's your favorite eating fish?
Well, I think that bluegills are pretty hard to beat all the time. The only thing I think better than a bluegill is a yellow perch.
Sure.
I like perch fishing too. I like the challenge of it. And when I say perch fishing, I'm not going to these world-class fisheries like St. Clair, Saginaw Bay, or
Sure.
I've got a couple of buddies that fish Grand Traverse Bay if it ever freezes, and it's unbelievable some of the perch that you can get when they get ice up there, giants. But we fish them in these inland lakes around where I live, and they're a total different animal. I mean, they're not where the bluegills are at typically. They're more bottom huggers in these inland natural lakes that are real soft bottom like that, and so you kind of gotta target them and cover a lot of water. And what I've learned is that those spoons, like that spoon you were just showing, we'll run those with a little hook beneath it with a bait, but just so I can get down real fast and cover a lot of water. And I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. And we catch a lot of bluegill with that too, doing that. That's something I never would have thought. And I learned that fishing for perch, that those spoons can be deadly effective for bluegill too. I mean, they're really attractive. They're very curious, but once you get one close to it, that's when you just got to slow it down and really almost hold it still, and they'll come up there and eat the mousy or the waxworm off the hook beneath that spoon. But you get them interested by jigging it fast. But so, I mean, that's what I prefer to do. But we've got a few lakes that got some good pike in them too. So I love, it's kind of fun to run tip ups every now and then. And
big flowages over there.
What now?
Some of the big flowages that you have.
No, we do them in a lot of these natural lakes too. Mm-hmm. We have some that have. There's one lake real close to me called Gull Lake that has a smelt population, natural smelt population in it, and it grows some really giant ones, and they're real pelagic. They run open water, and I haven't got to fish there in years just because of it's one of the last lakes to freeze up here, but it's got some really good pike in it, and it's kind of fun to be able to tip up fish that.
Awesome.
Yeah. Kevin, are you getting bass on tip ups at all?
Occasionally, but typically the way we set for pike, we'll run the either dead bait high or a live sucker and run it real high. And if you want to catch a bass on tip ups, you got to run something down closer to the bottom and use smaller baits. And we're always trying to look for big ones. So I'm using big baits, and I'm usually running them pretty high.
Yeah, shiners are incredible, and it shocks me how aggressive bass can be on the shiners. It just is amazing. Hey, if you got time for one more question, we really appreciate you coming on tonight. We really do.
Thank you.
Kai, what was that question that was just up before this one?
Do you eat bass?
That was that one. Somebody asked if you like to eat bass.
Early when I was growing up, I filleted a lot of them. I just, I don't blame people for doing it. If you're going to, eat the small ones, the little 1 and 2 pounders, the keepers. But I don't. I just the only ones that I've ate in recent years are from my pond, and that's just because I need to keep some of the numbers down, in it like that. So I'll catch some like that, and that the best time to do it is through the ice for sure. But I'm not a big I love bluegill or perch or walleye, whatever it is. But it's just hard to kill one when you make your living off them.
Yeah, Kevin, I know you're instrumental in the development of the Edge series of boxes. I mean, sitting in the product development meetings with you as with the rust proofing and everything. Do you have a couple favorite models, and what do you like about the box?
Well, so to me, this is going to be
your own already. Yeah.
One of my new favorites. This is the new 3500 series. What I like about the Edge series is everything, but the one-handed latch is a big deal. But if you want to have a really good terminal box, having all these little terminal pieces that you have. This is the 3600. My new ice box is going to be this 3500 series that I just ordered all of these compartments individually. And that's the neat thing now is that you can go online and just get those, or there's some retailers are carrying them too. But, having those closable, compartments. So when you got your tungsten, so I can keep, that's the hard thing for me is keeping the sizes separately. I always used to use a fly box, just a little plain old fly box.
Yeah.
Ice jigs. But now I can put them by exact weight. And so it doesn't matter what color. I know what color. I can see through the clear lid, but having keeping those weights separated so I know and label them will be a big deal. So I'm going to rig one of these up. But even for a great bass, specialty box, if you want to do just a Nico rig box, you take a 3500 and put the weights and just the things you need in that, and you can label it just for that. I love the 3700 series, but having the option now that we have some of these other smaller sizes, and they've just taken utility boxes to the next level. I mean, these are exponentially the best boxes I've ever had. I mean, my favorite in the whole line is the bladed jig box. It just
me too.
Yeah, way to store them.
Yeah,
that edge bladed jig box, and it's great for jigs too. But bladed jigs are so hard to store, so that's probably my all-time favorite. But I mean, they're all great. The spinnerbait box, I'm a huge spinnerbait guy. It's just so easy having the compartments, move. You just put them, lay them in there. It's just having the lids being crystal clear is a huge advantage. And, having restrictor and just, having the waterproof seal, all that makes a difference. But those are things you don't think of. I mean, I don't even think about my stuff getting rusty anymore. I've changed everything over, and the Flex box is probably going to be the foundation for all my hard baits, because I can make it anything I want. I mean, if you have not seen the new Edge Flex series, it's the greatest innovation in utility storage ever, I think. I mean, it's what we've always wanted to have, the infinite box, and that's what it is. You can infinitely put all the storage compartments to make it whatever you want. If you want to make it so you got one big compartment to put a spool line for leader line in your drop shot box, you can do that. So I just ordered 24 of those Flex 3700s just because for crankbaits and all your hard baits, I can make it exactly fit the size and the type of bait perfectly. So that'll be a big part of my tackle system in my bass boat.
Awesome. Kevin, thanks so much for your time tonight. We really appreciate you coming on board. I didn't expect us to run almost 20 minutes with you, almost 25 minutes, but thank you so much. And have a great Thanksgiving. We'll see you later. Thanks for joining us on College of Ice.
Good luck on the ice.
Yeah. Bye, guys. Bro, isn't that amazing? Kevin Van Dam, 25 minutes with that guy. Isn't that cool?
And he ice fishes. That's the best part.
Well, you can see his competitive fire. I mean, just the mention of Lake Commandos, anytime. that was kind of fun. Hey, we got some new products we do want to talk about. Some hot new products. Take it away on. I know you're a fan of Razor Augers.
Oh, I love them. Great company, and they have a lot of different size augers. 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8-inch bits, even 10-inch. But on the Scouts, which you use on a drill, your drill you have in your garage, it's nice to be able to drill small holes, find the fish, and then drill a bigger hole. And the 40 volt
and a 24 volt.
And there's a 24.
Yeah. Oh, there's a picture of it here. I have been a fan. I've been using this product for a year now, and it's actually been amazing. But one of the things I want to talk about is it does come in 2 different blade styles. You've got the curved blades, which I really like for cutting new holes, especially on pure ice and clean ice. And then you've got a chipper style as well. And this is a great one for reopening old holes, or in the case where you fish an area that has a lot of pressure and you're drilling a new hole, but you're cutting through debris on the ice or something else. It's really a great blade for that kind of stuff.
In the prairie lakes, you get in the Dakotas, sometimes you should have both, because you don't know what kind of heavy winds are blowing dirt out onto the ice, and it's nice to have that chipper blade. It's going to get you through. And I've had a lot of dull augers out in areas that no one's been fishing out there, and especially in high traffic areas, it's just good to have extra blades with you at all times, especially if you're driving a little bit. But I've had no problem drilling old holes with the curved blades, but the chipper style is better, and that's going to be your house renters and people who have stuff out there with thick ice, and then you're in a fish house. You can't have you don't want it to be too aggressive. You want to just chip away at it as it's going down.
Yeah. Hey, we've got to move on here. We got Chris Russell, marketing director for Plano Synergy Fishing and Hunting. Chris, thanks for waiting for us. I'm sorry we're a little bit slow tonight. How are you?
Hey, I'm good. I had a great time listening to you guys talking to Kevin. You could have spent the whole rest of the time doing that. I would have been fine.
Wow. Hey, you shaved.
I did. Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
I thought
I knew I was going to be live tonight. I had to shave up.
So, hey, you're down in Charleston, South Carolina right now, which is God's country if you love red fishing and beautiful beaches and things like that. But you're also a fan of ice fishing.
I am. Yes. I lived in Denver for a number of years and learned to ice fish there for lake trout. Actually, that was our target species. And then I've been a few times up in Minnesota with you guys. Bro, you and I got to run around on the ice a couple times. I've been up near the Canadian border a few times. So I love it. I like fishing with flip-flops on a lot, I got to tell you.
Yeah.
It's a little different, but I love ice fishing too. So
hey, bro, I got a couple of photos of Chris I got to share with you. Look at where did you catch the sauger? It must have been Lake of the Woods.
It was, yeah, Arneson's. We were at Arneson's last year, actually. So
and a walleye as well.
Yep, we did. Yep. We had a good time. That was doing a little product testing for Frayville, and I was with the whole Frayville team that trip.
Oh, that's very cool. That's awesome. Hey, COVID has really changed ice fishing and the fishing market tremendously. The St. Paul Ice Show was canceled, and I know other ice shows have been canceled. So if I was in your position, how do you get the word out to people about all the awesome new products and the new stuff that Frayville's offering?
Steve, 3 words really: College of Ice. Is what it goes with. So, it is really challenging. We've got a different way of thinking about it. Bro, you and I started talking about this concept in July, right? Yeah. We knew things were changing. ICAST had completely changed. Shows were already canceling. There was concern about what might happen during the winter months. And so Bro and I got on the phone and we said, man, we love the Bro Roadshow and we love you traveling all over, but we're not comfortable sending you to 30 stops. And he was not comfortable doing it either. We just didn't know. So reaching out to anglers digitally, electronically is definitely the course of the day. The good news, Steve, though, is all these new anglers coming into our sport. People now are trying fishing or they're coming back to that. And so the challenge is also reaching those folks that maybe don't tune into a lot of normal fishing programming or don't read magazines. They're just learning a lot. So that's been a big challenge. And we're working on new ways to do that this spring and this winter as well.
What's really been exciting to me on College of Ice is just seeing all the comments. I mean, we're seeing them from Vermont, New York, and all the way across the ice belt. And the excitement is at a fever pitch to get out. I think COVID's got people in their houses and they're just waiting for that ice to get safe to get out. And I think that's pretty cool that we get to share that excitement and then have a forum like this where they can access top anglers to get questions answered, which is really cool, I think, as well.
Yeah, I learned a bunch listening to the you two and then Kevin talking about bluegill fishing and hole hopping and kind of that. When he was talking about targeting smallmouth in the same place he might target them in the fall up on a shallow sand flat, it's like, that would be something totally different for me. And it's enjoyable. I sit behind the scenes and look at some of these comments coming in too. And yeah, people cannot wait even more than maybe a regular year to get out on the ice for 2020.
So you've been blessed with some awesome new products the last couple of years. Do you have a couple that have really been, especially for the ice market, that have been really hot that just kind of blew you away as well by the acceptance in the market?
I think probably the Magnum bait station is the item that really stands head and shoulders apart in ice fishing. It's so innovative and it's so self-contained. You've got no bubbler hanging on the side. You could really just manage that easily. And the beauty about that product is it works open water or ice fishing, right? It transitions between your boat and your shanty just easy and simple. So that's been great. Some of the new Arctic Fire combos that we introduced are a great new price point for people just getting started, or if they just need a secondary rod. And then, Frabill also makes a great tackle bag and a great storage box to take your gear out on the ice. So all those things are some of my favorites. And then if you go to Hub Shelters, our Fortress shelter with those kickouts, that really give you that extra space is a great item.
50%
I haven't
more.
seen that. It's worth a second look for sure.
Kevin talked a little bit about the Edge series, and I think that rust proofing and that waterproof seal is actually more important on ice than it is in open water. I mean, bro, you've driven across 1 million miles of lakes, and you're throwing snow everywhere.
Oh, absolutely.
All over your stuff, yeah.
And remember this, snow gets pulverized, and when it's not a snowflake anymore, it's dust, and it can creep into places. I've had where we didn't have the houses fastened out with that strap in the beginning, and the inside, you couldn't even break it with your fist. It's just packed with snow and super heavy, and the same it'll get in your tackle boxes, but not the edges. So I just love them, and I know my stuff is going to be safe, and that they're not going to get ruined. And I got a lot of stuff with me because you never know.
So, Chris, I know you have some specials coming up for this is Black Friday week or Thanksgiving week, and what are some of the specials that Frabill's going to be running?
We've got some markdowns on a variety of gear on our website at Frabill.com, but that main special, the one that you guys looked at earlier, you buy the i3 jacket and then you get the bibs at 50% off. That kicks off tonight. It's midnight Eastern time for any of you night owls that want to jump on that special ahead of time. And then, we're going to have some other specials too going across as we head toward Thanksgiving, Cyber Monday. It's a big shopping weekend coming up. So we most certainly have some great deals on our website directly.
Can they buy a College of Ice mug?
Those are reserved for special guests just like you. Only the big wigs, the hot shots get those. So,
or the guys that sign up and win the Frabill prize pack.
Winners, yes.
Yeah.
Hey, by the way, Stephen, bro, I personally packed up the first 3 winners, and they shipped out. I would be shocked if they're not at their doorsteps Monday or Tuesday of this coming week. So,
that's great.
That's awesome, great timing. So, well, Chris, hey. We appreciate you coming on tonight, and we've got a couple more things I want to get to with Bro, but
hey,
have a great night.
2 quick things, Steve. I can't forget, Bro and Heather, happy anniversary this week.
Oh,
I want to give you a shout out for that.
26 years.
Forget.
26.
Hi, Chris.
I know, exciting. Congratulations. And real quick before I go, Steve and Bro, for the audience out there, you guys put in a ton of hours besides just this 1 hour every week. You guys are on an hour early, you stay an hour late, you do a recap. There's a lot of behind the scenes work. And we just really appreciate all you're doing. For the fans out there, you put a lot into these shows to make sure they're entertaining and they're educational. And at Frabill, we really appreciate that. And you guys are working your butts off. Thank you very much for all that you're doing for us.
Thank you. I'll speak for myself, but Bro, we're having fun, aren't we?
Oh, it's a great time, and I just like the stuff I'm hearing during the show, and I wish I could talk to everybody, but we'd never get it done. And after the show, I get to hear from everybody, but just a great time, and I get to hear what's going on around the U.S.
We miss being on the road show, but we
miss the road show, but I don't want to be tied with Bro. I don't want to be bringing the wrong gift all over the place. So it's good to do this right now.
Yep.
It is
well, I'll let you guys go, but thanks a lot. Good work, gentlemen. Great show tonight.
Thanks.
Thank you. Thanks again.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah. Hey, Bro, one of the things I wanted to get to tonight was jigging cadence. And we've got just 7 minutes or so we're going to kind of hit this a little hard, but
sure.
I want to talk about jigging cadence through the season in terms of how aggressive are you fishing for, say, walleye? What are some of your favorite jigging cadences? And then maybe how do you adjust it based on what you're seeing while you're fishing?
Well, I always start out, I give it a good rip when I fish with walleyes to get that buckshot moving around. And, it depends. If you're using something that tumbles a lot, this is what I'm always putting on. I have that at least on one rod, rip, and then let it come back down, and then it's a matter of just making a shimmy. But there's other spoons that tumble. The buckshot flutter spoon will go off to the side. You could draw and fish, but as we start out right now, the reason everybody's excited to get on the ice is the walleyes are biting, and sometimes you can catch them all day. So That's why everybody wants to get out there. And so you could jig aggressive. And I remember fishing with the Grizz. That guy jigs so hard, I can't believe his bait stays on the hook. He rips it, and he's still catching fish and Mille Lacs. So it's rip jigging will work, but I like to do one good rip and then let it come in. And I watch the fish in my Aqua-Vu. They'll come in, and they'll nose the spoon and then back up, swim away, and come back through. On Leech or Winnie, even Lake of the Woods, you could see fish up there also. But so the cadences are going to change. Now in Lake of the Woods, it's more subtle. Just like when you're at Winnipeg, you could rip it and it just disappears from them because you can't see. Red Lake, just a steady retrieve. And as winter progresses, you still do that first good sweep, and you're getting that jig to draw them in. Because if you're fishing weed beds, let's say you're on Leech Lake and there's large miles and miles of weeds. How do you get their attention? They can't see through objects. They can feel it. They hear the vibration. But when you lift it up real high and let it drop in, it brings their attention. And as they come in, a lot of times the walleyes will come back 2 or 3 times and they strike it. And unless you're probably on the Great Lakes or something when it freezes, they just come in and eat it. But
I've never told you this story, but I was sight fishing for walleyes on Leech in February. I was in about 9 feet of water working some of the flats, and this was before Aqua-Vu. This was before really sonar was using, and I had 2 rods rigged up. I had one with a tail hooked live minnow, and I had a spoon with just a minnow head on it. And these 2 walleyes came in on a spoon with the I had the minnow down at the time, and I was jigging it, and they sat there just like this. And this is my jig, and this is the 2 fish, and I just kind of shake it a little bit. All of a sudden, I gave it a hop, and both fish, you could see their fins. It was like they were electrocuted. They got all excited. So I jigged it again. It came up. One of the fish came up and grabbed it, set the hook, reeled them up, threw them in the back of the fish house. I looked down, and the second fish is still there. So I have the rod in one hand. I have the other rod. I open the bail. It flutters down. And as I drop it, I pick up the rod, close the jig, and that other fish grabbed it, and I caught 2 in a row. I opened the fish house and went, I'm good. I'm really good. That was kind of fun. But it is fun when you can actually watch them on Aqua-Vu or sight fish them just directly. It's amazing how much you've learned in terms of your presentation.
Absolutely. You could see. You wouldn't know, because sometimes these fish are 4 feet away. Sometimes they're 8 feet away, and you trigger them. They come in and hit. And even though you might not catch any more fish out of that hole, you got a fish there. You go to the next hole because you're fishing in 6 feet of water, 8, 10 feet of water. So you're moving around. Of course, the morning and evening, as we say on Leech Lake, the hour of power. Right before dark, it doesn't matter what you do; you just catch them. But you get on Lake Winnebagosh, or if it's going to change a little bit. You got to stay in one spot and bring them in. Remember, on humps and structure facing the large open areas, as the shoreline connected points in breaks slow down towards the end of December, January, the humps turn on all these lakes and it's structures that aren't just a sandbar. They got a little rocks here. They got a little bit of weeds, and the fish are going to work edges. And there are spot on the spot spots. Did I just say that? Where you could catch walleyes every single night. And the mitigating factors, it's steep breaks, structure with rocks, weeds facing large open basins on the lake. For me, is my tried and true.
Hey, bro, we're running out of time. We got a minute left here. I did want to talk about that. Right immediately following the show, we're going to select the winner. We're going to stay live here, but we're going to shut down for a second so we can powwow about who's going to be selected from all the questions and things tonight. And we'll announce it here in just a few minutes immediately following. So this is the $165. Kai, bring up the photo of the prize pack for Freyville so everybody knows what they can win tonight. Which would be awesome. And then, whoa, that's a cool graphic. There we go. Yes. So you get you win a reel, a tip up, a tackle bag, and look at the mugs and all that stuff, and the safety kit and the edge box. So We're going to give one of these away, and then we're going to give one away every week. So everybody that tunes in has a chance, but we need you to get involved and comment and ask questions. So that would be awesome. Hey, bro, we got a really cool show coming up Wednesday. This Wednesday, the day before Thanksgiving, we're going to talk about successful approaches to first ice. We're going to talk about safe travel. Things like we keep harping on safety, but we've been through the ice and we don't want anybody to go through. So we're going to talk about it. And then we're going to have a gift guide set up. So if you're looking for gift ideas for the angler in your life, or if you want to drop some hints for the spouse or others in your life, let us know or check us in. We're going to have that. But we're going to have Jeremy Rowe. He's a Frabill pro coming on board. We got Omnia Fishing Brad Novak. Brad was on a few weeks ago and awesome guest. So we're going to bring him back on board. And then we're going to talk to Corey Francisco up at Marine General in Duluth, Minnesota. And we're going to talk about some of these Great Lakes fish like lake trout and steelhead and that sort of thing. So it's very cool. But hey, on behalf of myself and Bro, thank you everybody that tuned in tonight. Thank you for the great questions, the comments. It's so exciting and fun to have everybody involved here. And I know you agree, Bro.
Yeah, I love it. And, I'm just chomping at the bit like everybody else, but don't take any chances. Be safe. And there's plenty of winter.
That's awesome. Everybody, thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you Wednesday night, 7 o'clock Central.
Thanks for watching this week's College of Ice. Stay tuned for all new episodes coming up.
Hey, Bro, we've got a winner tonight. You want to share the news?
Yes, we have a winner, and it is Daryl Ekstrom. Daryl, you're the winner, and you're from like the Carver, Minnesota area, and congratulations on winning the prize package.
Hey, Daryl, we really appreciate it. What we need you to do is private message us your shipping address. We'll pass it on to Frabill, and they will send it directly from the factory to you. So thanks for joining in. And everybody, thanks again. We really appreciate having you guys on board. And, Bro, have a good next couple days. I'm going to be cutting up venison and hanging some horns, man. It's been a good fall.
I'm going to be looking for ice, and I might swat some chickens out of the air.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Okay.
All right.
You guys, you're going to win next time. Keep trying. I appreciate it. Thank you.
All righty. Everybody have a great night. We'll see you on Wednesday night, 7 o'clock. Bye.
Thanks for watching this week's College of Ice. Stay tuned for all new episodes coming up.